Welcome to this beginner's guide for OceanWP, a free theme for WordPress that has lots and lots of great tools and features available to you completely free. In this demonstration video, I just want to give you a head start on how you can start using OceanWP to build your ultimate WordPress website. So let's just jump over into the WordPress dashboard and take a look at just some of the options that are available in this fantastic WordPress theme. I've opened up the dashboard in WordPress, installed OceanWP and OceanWP Extra, and now we're ready to take a look at what's been added into our dashboard. Now there are two key areas when you're working with OceanWP. You've got all the controls inside the customizer, and you also have an added panel that's been added into the pages and posts. We're going to start off by taking a look at that, and then we'll jump over to the customizer and see some of the key things you need to set up once OceanWP is installed. We're going to start off by jumping over to the pages section. And in there, we're just going to open up the sample page because we have no other content in here at the moment. Now what you'll see is we've now got the OceanWP settings panel. We've got a load of tabs down the left hand side that allows us to go in and fine tune a page by page or post by post layout structure. So once we set things up inside the customizer, we can override various aspects of that on a page by page or post by post basis. So this gives us maximum flexibility in a very easy to use platform. So we can easily do things like change the content layout, change the shortcodes, the header, logo, and so on a page-by-page basis. So for example, if we want the content layout to be different on this one to the defaults that we've set up inside the customizer, we can simply come into the content layout section and choose from any of the options available inside there. The same goes with the sidebar. We can pull in any specific sidebar we want. We can even enable and disable the actual margins for the page. One of the key areas that you're probably going to find you use a lot if you are the kind of person that likes to have different types of headers. You may want a transparent header on certain pages and a normal header on something else. Well, we can do that as well. We can jump into the header section. As you can see, we've got options for header styles. And if we create custom headers, we can also call those up from inside here as well. So this gives us a load of flexibility. So take a look at that and see the kind of options you have available. Familiarizing yourself with the OceanWP settings on the page or post section will really open up some of the potential of this amazing theme. Now that we've taken an overview of the OceanWP settings, let's jump over to the customizer and take a look at all the tools that are available for customizing and setting up the theme. If we come over to Appearance and come into Customize, that'll open up the customizer and give us all the options available. Now the customizer is the first place you're really going to jump into to start making this theme and the layout your own. You can see currently we have no premium add-ons available, but once you download something and you use that, that will disable that premium add-ons warning. However, if you intend to use the theme completely free with none of those premium add-ons, you will see this available on the actual customizer. Okay, so let's start off by doing some of the basic things we're going to do. If we jump into the site identity section, you can see we've got the title and we've got the tagline. We can also set the site icon or favicon, so we can easily select any image we want in here and set that to be the favicon for this particular site. If we jump out of that and we come down into the actual header section, you can see we've also got a logo section in there. So we can jump into that and we can now set our logo, and we can also set a retina version. So for higher resolution screens, we can set a logo specifically to that to make sure it looks as good as possible. Now it's recommended that whatever size logo you set up to your main logo, you double the dimensions of that for your retina logo. So let's see how easy it is to add in our logo to the site structure. Let's simply click on Select Logo for our first logo. And you can see I've uploaded the two versions of my logo. We've got the normal size one and we've got the double size one for the retina. So we're going to simply select the size that I want for my main logo. Click select on there. You can give the option then if you want to crop things. We're going to say we're going to skip that cropping. We're then going to do the same thing again now for the retina version. So we're going to select the image. We're simply going to come in and choose the ×2 version, so the double the size. Choose our image, and that's set the image up now for our logo. You can see at the top it's showing our logo. If we'd like to fine tune the width or the height, we can set maximum values with these simple sliders at the bottom, so we can fine tune the logo to make sure it sits exactly as we want. If we'd like to customize things further, we can specify exactly the size of the logo on 3 different device types, on desktops, on tablets, and on mobiles. All we need to do is simply use either the little symbols at the bottom to switch to the preview mode, or we can click on the little desktop icon, open that up, and you can see we can now fine tune any of those logo sizes across 3 different devices, just to make sure that everything looks perfect. To keep things nice and professional and consistent, I've also gone ahead and created our custom site icon. And to add that, we're just going to jump back out and we're going to go back into our site identity, select our image, and there's our site icon. So I'm going to select that. We're going to avoid any cropping. And we're just going to say we're happy with that. So that now will give us a nice site icon that ties in with our logo and our branding. And as you can see, it's incredibly easy to do. While we're at it, we'll take out this tagline, it's not needed, and then we'll just jump back over and take a look at some of the other controls we have inside the customizer for OceanWP. So with our branding in place, let's take a look at how we can start adding in things like menu structure. It's very easy. We could use WordPress to do it, but we can also do it inside OceanWP, and then we can customize the way that it actually looks. So first of all, let's set up our menu. So let's come to the menu section, and in there you can see we've got main menu, which is the menu I've already created in WordPress. Now we're going to assign that to the location that we want. So you can see we've got view all locations. We can expand that, and we can see we've got top bar, main, footer, and mobile. The top bar is this little section which says place your content here. Then we've got the main area section, which is in this example to the right hand side of our logo. The footer, as its name suggests, and then mobile if we want to set up a custom mobile menu structure. So very versatile. What we're going to do is we're going to come into the main section and we're going to choose our main menu. Once we do that, you'll see our menu will now appear on the right hand side alongside the search bar. Now we can easily customize this. We can go through and use any of the predefined options that OceanWP ships with, or if we're using something like Elementor as a page builder, we can use that and harness the power of that and create custom layouts which we can then reference. So that's very cool, but beyond the scope of what we want to cover in this Get Started video. So with our menu structure ready and in place, let's take a look at the styling options we have. Let's just come back out of this and we're going to go down onto the header section. Now you can see this is broken down into various different components, and you can see general, header, media, and so on. Now if we go to the general section, you can see the style is set, and currently we're using the minimal layout. We also have the option in there for the height of the actual menu itself. So if we start to make this larger, you'll see on screen that will update and the menu will adjust accordingly. If we want to reset that to its default value, we can just click on this little reset symbol, and you'll find this reset symbol in quite a few different locations inside the customizer for OceanWP, and clicking that at any point will reset it to the default value that's part of the OceanWP style you currently have selected. Okay, so let's go take a look at some of the other styles we have available. We've got minimal, we have transparent, top menu, full screen, and so on. So let's take a look at something like the medium option. If we click on that, you can now see that relays out everything in there. It gives us the search option on the left hand side. We can put social icons on the right hand side should we want to, and it'll put the logo in the middle, and it'll put our navigation structure underneath. Now obviously we can fine tune and tweak this. If we come down onto the left hand side in the customizer, you can see you've got things like search form, logo, and social buttons. We can reorder those if we want to, or we can enable and disable them by simply clicking the eye icon. So you can see by doing that now, the search option on the left hand side has disappeared, and if we had social icons on the right hand side, they would also be taken off. So that's the medium style. Let's take a look at another one and see how good these different layouts are for our navigation. If you click on there again, and we're going to come down this time, we're going to choose full screen. Now what that's going to do is it's going to update everything, and you can see now our menu disappears and we're replaced with the three little icons on the right hand side, the hamburger menu, like you'd expect to see in a mobile device. If we click on that, that now gives us a complete full screen layout for our navigation, which again is pretty cool. We've also got the option then we can go through and fine tune this. We can adjust the fonts on there, the colors, all that kind of good stuff. Click the X to close that down. If we look on the left hand side, depending upon the type of style of menu structure we choose, that will dictate the various different things that we'll see inside the left hand section in the customizer. So you can see you've got a ton of options in there for customizing styles, link colors, all that kind of stuff. So you have tons of options straight out of the box, even with the free version of OceanWP, which is fantastic. So let's just reset the menu back to what it was, which is minimal. We're going to stick with that for now. Let's take a look at this top bar section. If we come back out and we go into the option for top bar, we can expand that out. You can see we've got a couple of different tools available. We've got the general option, which allows us to enable or disable this. So we just check that. It'll disable that. It removes it completely. Enable it, we'll bring it back. You can see we can set this to be full width, so no margins on the left or right hand side, which we can also do with our navigation. We can also control the visibility on the different types of devices. We may want this to show on the desktop, but not on a tablet or onto a mobile, where you can see we have options to hide and show things on there. We've also got a ton of options to customize the look and the layout of this. So again, really flexible options available. Jump back out of there, we can then control the content. We can even use templating structures. So if we've created a custom template to place items inside that area, we can reference that simply inside the customizer by choosing the template that we want. Alternatively, we can keep it really simple by using the content, and we can just type in what we want there. We can also use HTML code, so if we want to style things, we can do that. And finally, we've got options for shortcodes. So if we want to put things like a shopping basket in there, we've got a range of different shortcodes that are available as part of OceanWP that you can easily reference, drop those in there, and then you have that function displaying on the top bar of your website. So we jump back out of the content section, we go into social. You can see we now have options to specify the social media that's going to be displayed in there, Twitter, Facebook, and so on. If I just put some simple hashtags in there, you should then see that we get the little icons pop up in the top right hand corner, and at this point, if we want to, we can fine tune, style those, change the colors, add loads more in there, and a ton of other cool things. So again, we've also got the option for pulling in a template. So if we want to create a custom template, we can do that. So tons of really cool, simple options, all in a very visual fashion. Make the change and you'll see it updated on screen directly in front of you inside the customizer. So now that we've seen a lot of what the header can do, what about the footer? What tools do we have available there? Well, you can see we've got footer widgets and footer bottom. So if we scroll down, you can see we've got currently a copyright notice and then just a dark bar at the bottom. So you've got this broken down into two areas. We can utilize either, or we can utilize both, or none at all. So if you open up the footer widgets, this is where we can go in and put the main sort of footer area in. And again, we can use templates inside here. So if we are using something like Elementor, we can create our layout inside there, even using one of the templates that it ships with. We can then reference that inside OceanWP and display that in the footer, which just gives us a ton of flexibility where we're not reliant just upon what the theme ships with, even though OceanWP has a ton of options. So you can see again, we've got some great tools in here. We can go through, specify visibility, enable or disable this particular part of the footer. So we just check that. You can see that now removes it completely and all the options are disabled. If I click to bring it back, all those options come back. The template option is available for us there. We can even specify the number of columns if we don't want to use a template. We can set a fixed footer, which means it'll always stay at the bottom of the screen no matter the size of the content on screen. So this means your footer doesn't kind of float in midair, which is great. We've also got a parallax effect, which means that the page will kind of unfold and reveal your footer, which is a really nice graphical way of showing things. So we do the on for fixed footer and we do on for parallax footer. You'll see the footer kind of displays because we have only a small amount of content, but if we take a look at a page that has more content on it, which we will in a moment, you'll see how these things work. So again, we've got tons of options at the bottom that allow us to fine tune and tweak the colors, all that kind of good stuff. So that's the footer widgets. If we take a look at the footer bottom, this is a kind of our copyright area where currently you can see we've got the copyright for OceanWP itself. Inside there, we can easily come in and change whatever we want. And you can see we've got an OceanWP shortcode, which is currently set to display the date. So we can utilize that to make sure that our copyright notice is always up to date. Again, we've all got the same kind of tools. We can adjust the padding, the colors that are being used, all that kind of great stuff. Now, speaking of colors and basic layout information, we've got great controls in here for the typography and the overall basic colors. So let's start off with the color options. If we come into the general options setting, right at the top, we've got the general styling. And what this allows us to do is go through and set up the primary and secondary colors for the key parts of our site. So for example, our primary colors for links and buttons and so on, we can set all that up from inside this particular panel. We can obviously fine tune this for the various different aspects like our header and our navigation and so on, like we've seen earlier in the video. But this is kind of where you set your basic primary colors. Now let's just jump back out of that, and once we've done that, we can jump into the general settings section, and we can now go through and control the basic layouts of the various different pages or the different archives and post sections of our site. We can even specify the layout that we want to use. Now currently this is set to wide, so it's a full width kind of layout. We can also set this to be boxed if we want to, which then will open up the option to do things like apply drop shadows, change the background color, apply background images and so on, even setting the background width. So we have a lot of control in there to make sure that our layout looks as good as we want. We've also got the separate option. We'll then sort of create separate block options for the various different parts of our page. Let's jump back into wide, for example, now. You can see we can change the main container width, the content and the sidebar widths if we want to. We can also go through and do things like set up the page layouts. Now currently we're using the right hand sidebar. We could set that to be a left hand sidebar if we wanted to, or we could set it to be no sidebar at all. We can even come in and set sidebars to both the left and the right hand sides, and we can then specify how that's laid out. So you get a lot of control over exactly how this is going to look. If we come down, we can control then the search page results. We can enable open graph if we want to. So we've got a ton of options in there. Now if we jump back out of this and we come back out again and we go into the blog section, we can now control the layout for the blog for both the archive section, which is what we're currently looking at, and also for the single post section. So if we jump into blog archives, you can see we've got the same layout options again. We can set it to left or right. We can set it to be none at all, or we can set it to be left and right and then control exactly what's going to be displayed on both of those options, or we could go for 100% full width, which will just remove any margins around the entire side, no columns, nothing. So we're going to set this back to be full width but with the margins and everything in place. We've then got options for how we want the blog to be sort of displayed. We want to use large images and custom sizes. We can specify the excerpt length and so on. So we've got lots of options to fine tune and tweak that. Now if we jump in and take a look at an actual single page layout, so we just click on the continue reading option, you can see again we've got the right hand column, we've got everything laid out, so we can easily come in, jump back at the blog entries and go to the single post section and fine tune the layout of this as well. We could even go through and do things like specify the width of the entire content. So currently that's set to 700, so let's just set that to 900. You can see it immediately updates on screen. We can also go through and specify exactly what we want to display for our blog post, so we can enable, disable the featured image, the title. We can reorder these things if we want to, easily reorder anything we want, enable or disable to get exactly what we want to look like. So a lot of options available inside there as well. So that we take a look at the blog section, let's take a look at setting our home page and how we can control some other elements on the site. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down into our homepage settings. We're going to set this to be a static page, and we're going to choose our homepage in much the same way that you do inside WordPress itself. But again, like I say, you can do all of this directly inside the customizer itself. So OceanWP is giving you the full control over everything on there. Okay, so we've set things up now. We've pulled in the home page we want. You can see I've created something just a little bit more interesting than we had originally. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do things like with this title bar, we don't want that to be showing on there, so we can get rid of that. We'll also take a look at the typography options and how we can customize the look and the layout of all our text on our entire site. So to deal with this top bar, all we need to do is come into the general options setting, and from there we've got page title. So you can see at the moment it's set to H1 and it's set to be a default style. We can click on there and we can specify different types of styles if we want to. We can also go through and set this to be hidden. Now remember, because we've got the OceanWP panel on a page and post basis, if we wanted to have this available on the entire site, but then disable it, for example, on the home page or maybe the contact page and so on, you can easily just go in and do it that way. Or you can do it this way, which is globally disabling everything, and then you can use the OceanWP panel to actually display it if you want to on certain pages. So you have lots of ways of achieving the same end result, just really what works for you with the design and the process that you want to work with. Okay, so we've now created our home page. We've got rid of the title bar on there. Let's take a look at how we can adjust the font styling. If we just jump out of here a second, you can see we've got typography. Now there are lots and lots of options available in the typography section. You can see we've got things broken down over the entire layout of our site. So we can control things like the body font, all headings or individual headings. If we were using text for our logo, we can specify in there, the top bar, all manner of really cool things. So let's just keep it really simple. Let's just change our headings, for example. So let's come into the headings. Let's change from the default family. What we're going to do is we're going to use something different. So let's go for Montserrat. So we'll click on that, and you can see once I do that, any font that's a heading font will now be restyled with the font style that we've just chosen. We can do exactly the same with any body text if we want to. So let's just come in and say for the body, we'll change to something like Mooli. So we'll just change that font on there and we'll click OK, and then you can see again, anytime that's being referenced, it will update the information. We can change line height, font sizes, all manner of things for the fonts, and anywhere throughout the site that's used will be adjusted accordingly. Now I'm going to wrap up this beginner's guide there. Hopefully what you've seen is that it's very easy to work with OceanWP, and there are lots and lots of options that should give you almost unlimited possibilities of what can be done. However, if you want more, then take a look at the free and paid for extensions that you can get that are available at oceanwp.org. Check those out. It expands the core functionality of OceanWP and gives you even more great tools to work with to get the ultimate website.